Computer Assignment 3, Parametric Statistics. Parametric statistics are t-tests and one-way ANOVA, two examples of them. And we're going to learn how to analyze these, okay, in SPSS. I'm also going to ask you to create a graph, a couple of graphs in Excel, and I've already taught you how to do that, so I'm not going to show you how to do that again. If you don't remember how to do it, please go back to computer exercise 1 or 2 to confirm that you know how to do that. So we're going to have to enter the data into Excel, and then make a graph of it, and then we're going to cut and paste this data into SPSS to do our t-test or ANOVA analysis. Okay, so here's our data. We're doing an experiment. Here's our independent variable with its two levels, the placebo and this experimental drug for ADHD to reduce impulsivity. And here's the dependent variable. It's a continuous dependent variable right there, and here's the two levels of the independent variable. So as we learned from our earlier computer exercises, we don't need both columns for SPSS, we just need one. So if this column, if a 0 means control group and a 1 means experimental group, let's use these two columns. We'll use these two columns in SPSS to do the analysis. Once we go into SPSS, we're going to use the analyze compare function again, but this time independent samples t-test is what we're going to select. And we're going to enter our appropriate variables into the appropriate box. We're going to define them. We'll do the analysis, and I'll show you how to read the output. Finally, there's some questions I want you to answer. This question about statistics, can you confirm that the stat was significant? And then what do you conclude? This is more about the hypothesis. Was the hypothesis supported? What does it mean? Did the drug work? Did the drug not work? So make sure you answer these questions along with the graphs and the data and the analysis, everything else you need to hand in. All right, so let's go to SPSS. I've opened up a file here. Let's go to our variable box. We want to go, we'll just have EXP for our experimental. Let's go with independent variable. I like that better. Just IV. And this one's going to be impulsivity. All right. And since this is coded as 0s and 1s, we got to get a label in there. 0 is for placebo condition, right? And 1 is for the no imp condition. Good. So our independent variable is coded. We don't have to do anything to our dependent variable because it's numeric already. Let's go to our data. All right, now we got to get our data from the Excel. Here it is right here, already entered in. Remember, you're going to have to enter in this data. You're going to have to do it to make a graph anyway. But there we go. We're going to take these two columns of data right here. Copy. Back to SPSS. There's our data right there. Now let's do our analysis. Analyze, compare means, independent samples t-test. And this is a little confusing, but the grouping variable is the independent variable. So we want to put this variable right in there. We got to define the groups. We're using a 0 and a 1. That should work. And then impulsivity is going to be our dependent variable right there. Let's click OK. And here is the output file. Very nice. Here's our means. Remember, you should calculate your means in Excel and then see if they're the same in SPSS. If they are, that gives you confidence that you entered the data properly. Here's the output file that can be a little confusing. This is not the measure of significance we're looking for. This is a measure of whether the variants are equal. This is one of the assumptions we have to deal with. And they're not significantly different, so that's a good thing. That means they're equal. Here's our t-test value, so that's the t, 0.4304, that's what we just calculated. Here's the degrees of freedom, and here's the significance. It's highly significant. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, this table right here. So since this is significant, and we know that the impulsivity group from our graph was lower for the experimental condition than it was for the control group, well, I think you can make some conclusions all on your own about that. Okay, that's the way we do a t-test, analysis, and SPSS.